Assalamualaikum. My name is Aidil Azizah bin Zulkifli and my metric number is 047149. So we are from group 5 and our assignment is about the treatment of the refugees and asylum seekers regarding to the principle of the non-refoulement in the Southeast Asian country. So treatment. Uh, the meaning of the treatment in this context is how someone or state deal uh, or how to react or to take action with someone else or the something. uh, so what is refugees? Refugees are people who are fleeing around armed conflict or persecution. There were t- there were 19.5 million of them of the worldwide, according to the UNHR, which United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee. So their situation is so perilous, and they cross national borders to seek safety in nearby countries and become recognized as refugees with of access to assistance from state and aid organization. An important data an important point of this is they are protected by international law, specifically the 1951 Refugees Convention. But even the term refugees and the asylum seekers is still confused until now. So what is asylum seekers? Asylum seekers is a people or someone who claim to be a refugee but whose claim has not been evaluated. This person who would have applied for asylum on the ground that returning to his or her country would lead to the persecution on account of race, religion, nationality, or political belief. Someone is an asylum seeker for so long as their application is pending. So what I mean is not every asylum seekers is a refugee, but every refugees is initially an asylum seekers. So we go to the what is non-refoulement.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Salma binti Mamadi. My metric number 047316. Okay, regarding to the non-refoulement, there are fundamental principles of international law called as principle of non-refoulement, where the principle forbids a country receiving asylum seekers from returning them to a country in which they are likely to be in danger of persecution based on religion, race, nationality, membership of particular social group or political opinion. Okay. Considered as customary international law, meaning that states are bound by the principle whether or not they have signed the Refugee Convention or other relevant human rights treaties. Okay. In Southeast Asia, there are only 3 states that are party to the 1951 Refugee Convention, namely Cambodia, East Timor, and the Philippines. The UNCHR 2015 overview of the region points to an increase in maritime pushbacks and instances of refoulement. The main refugee hosting countries of Southeast Asia have hosted refugee populations for decades, which are Thailand for at least 35 years, Malaysia for at least 25 years, and Indonesia for at least 15 years. Okay. The protection of asylum seekers is considered an irreplaceable standard by international lawyers and refugee advocates, making the idea of informal protection of oxymoron. And by this measure, protection is assumed to be missing the absence of a formal legal framework, often leading advocates to push for legislation which explicitly protects refugees from in particular involuntary return or refoulement. Okay, without questioning the importance of non-refoulement as a universal principle of refugee protection that exceeds a narrow legal definition. Okay, just and informality should be understood as a normal social condition with its own practices and opportunities. Protection can also emerge from gaps and ambiguities in the law. Okay, next I will pass presentation to my friends.
Hello, now I'm going to talk about the treatment of refugee or asylum seekers in Southeast ASEAN, for example, in Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So, the asylum seekers in Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia can register to the UNCHR for refugee. Given the huge backlog of the application in the UNCHR field office, it is uncommon for there to be delayed up 3 years before interview determining refugee status are conducted. In the interim, most asylum seekers have little option and sometimes have trouble with illegal relations with the landlord and employers in order to survive. Okay, there are several treatment of asylum seekers or refugee under the international law. For example, in Thailand, there are the Convention of the Rights of the Children and the Convention of Elimination of Discrimination Against Women are the permits for refugee children to be in school and for women to be released from detention centers. While in Malaysia and Indonesia, the civil society organization and religious charities offer informal modes of protection through refugee school, medical camps, home-based work, and literacy programs. The refugee are protected under the principle of non-refoulement that forbids a country that receiving asylum seekers or a refugee from returning them to their home country. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Muhaizia binti Muhammad Gifli, matric number 046350. So let us move on to the protection of refugee work in Indonesia. Refugees are not protected under domestic labor law. They do not have the right to justice for workplace abuse under Indonesian rule. The advocate claimed that while exploitation occurs, refugees have nowhere to report labor violation. For refugees to have access to a governmental legal assistance, a refugee would be required to submit a valid identification card, which is difficult for most refugees in Indonesia to obtain. Generally, the rule on legal aid law has not been expanded for refugee or other non-citizen. However, there is a range of organizations providing legal advice and guidance to refugees and asylum seekers in Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurbal Ayu binti Muhammad Shukri, Mershid number 046372. So let's talk about the protection of refugee work right in the context of Malaysia. So on the humanitarian ground, Malaysia generally allows asylum seeker or refugee to stay in the country. However, the only formal mechanism by which legal status may be afforded for the refugee or asylum seeker is via the issuance of temporary resident permit (IMM 13 permit). Because most refugees and asylum seeker do not have the right to work, the government of Malaysia do not provide livelihood assistance for them. So in some extent, NGO fill the gap. Through its partner, UNSCR assists refugees by finding wage earning opportunities and also assessing financial institutions.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Faris Hakimi Ben Yahya with metric number 047236. So moving on to the protection of the refugee work right in Thailand. Refugees are forced to work in the informal sector and have no rights to protect them from exploitation or abuse. Courts have upheld some rights for undocumented workers in Thailand. The Thai Supreme Court has ruled in favor of an employee without a work permit who sued his employer for wrongful dismissal. It is unknown if the employee in the court case was a refugee. Advocates note that pursuing such cases could not put refugees at risk of deportation back to their home countries. A few organizations, such as Asylum Access Thailand and the Human Rights Development Fund, which is HRDF, do provide legal aid and information for refugees, including workshops on labor law and safety at work. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nushakira binti Haris. My metric number is 047487. So to sum things up, the 2015 Rohingya crisis has become one of the major events in the principle of non-refoulement because the Rohingya that's come to Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia and Thailand has been sent back to sea. Most of the government of Southeast Asia didn't sign the refugee convention, so it becomes one of the whole in this crisis. I will hope that the Southeast Asian government will sign the refugee convention so that the Rohingya crisis will not be happening again and they get their justice to live. That's all from us. Thank you.